Right. The next step is to check how we can start creating our own application in Visual Studio. So we will do this first hands-on, and in this case we will yet not create a web application, but we create a desktop application that is being using internet. So it will make a page request to somewhere, and then we can see the response from that server in our desktop application. So for this hands-on, you only need the Visual Studio, and then you can create a similar kind of desktop application that you know how to do it from the programming course. So let's start doing this part now. So we just go to the Visual Studio, and then we create a project just as we do in the programming course. So we go to Visual Studio, Visual C# part, and then we find the console app.NET framework, and we can name this Get the Internet. Okay, something like that, and click OK. Right, so here is the application, and before we start doing anything else, we should now add some components into our resources. Namely, so far we haven't really discussed about this part, what usually appears here in above our program that we write. But now we have to look at those as well, because now that we want to get an access to internet, to some external location, we need to include in our project some resources that allow us to do it. So it means we need to get an access to those functions that are able to perform that task. That's why we need to add here two libraries. First of all, system.net. So this is the one that takes care of connecting to the remote computer. And then another one, we will add here the system.io. So this library we need for reading or for getting some sense on the response that the distant web server sent us. Okay, and then of course, well, we write the application in the very same place as we usually do, so namely in this main method here. And first of all, we have to give some information to the user. So we write here some instructions to the user. We tell to the user just press enter to make a web request. Okay. The user is not able to select which page he wants to see, but it's just the website. Some website that we fixed here. Alright, and then we just we need to make the program wait for the key press, so until the user is ready to get the response from the remote server. Okay, and then it is up to you to decide which web page you want to retrieve. And but how to do it? We have to get an access to an object called web request. So we have to create an object of type web request. So this is how we do it. So we just simply we introduce that, okay, this is a new web request, and we refer to it with this name REQ. So that's that's a variable that we can use for referring to that request. Okay, and then how to create that request? We have to mention the web request again, and then we write dot and create. And now you can decide what page you want to retrieve. So it goes here inside this create method as a URL. So I could take HTTP, and let's see if we can get some response from this address. lab.fi. I'm not sure if this works. It may be that it has to be HTTPS, but let's look at it later. Okay, so this is the call that will make call to that website. And then what we want to do with this request is that we receive that response, which means the HTML that was constructed by this remote computer, and then we will show it here in the console. So in the same console where you would normally write something with write line, well, we do it now, but we do it for this response. But before we can do it, we have to declare an object called which is of type web response. Let's call it RESP, and then we catch that response object into this variable. So we take the request and dot, so req, so this is the variable we declared here. So we take the request and then we say get response. So this is the call which actually makes the call to that remote computer, and then makes the request and then returns back here, and whatever the response, it is being caught with this variable RESP. And now okay, now we have the response already. So it's here in our in this client computer, in this application. And what we now have to do, we just have to extract the HTML document from this response object and then show it on the screen. And from that we will use an object called stream reader. So we take the stream reader and we call that variable reader. That's valid name. And then we create this object. Okay, you don't have to really understand what happens here, but we create that object, and then where do we get that text for this object is we get it from that response object that we just created with this previous call. Okay, so we call the getResponseStream method of this object, and then we have to just give some advice how this thing that we get from this response should be interpreted. So we say it's interpreted with ASCII encoding. Alright, and then now we are ready almost. So what we still need to do, we just have to throw this text on the screen. So we just call the WriteLine method and then make the reader object to show its contents. So we say read to end, so which will read from the beginning to the end, this reader object, and then throw everything on the screen. And one more thing we have to, okay, we want to just make this program flow to stop here for a while so that we can have time to read the output. And now it's time to experiment. Let's hope this all works. I click here start. Yes, alright, and here is my view. I will make the fonts a little bit bigger so you can see what happens here. And now when I enter, then when I press the enter, then it should make the web request. Let's see if that page appears somewhere. No, I think probably that page lab.fi does not exist. Okay, well, it did. Apparently it just took some time. Let's do it again. Just took some time, so I clicked enter now. Alright, now it became a little bit faster. So this is the response from the website, and obviously you see that there's a lot of all kinds of crap here, but anyway, it's the same contents as you would get with if you use this same call with the browser. And actually we can have a look at that, what happens in the browser. So if we go to the browser and see the same page here, so it was lab.fi. and we make the request. So this is what you get, and basically if we look at the page source, this should be exactly the same as we saw here in this page. Is it? Yes, I think so, more or less, yes. Alright, so this was the first hands-on. We created a desktop application that was able to make a web request to some external website, and then we can receive the HTML.